Yo, what's up everyone? So Dokkan finally put out the information for the Part 2 LR for the GP side of the game, and needless to say, it is a Cell Max. I'm surprised Cell Max has not actually started trending. To be fair, it's only been like 24 minutes since the release has been put out, so I can't really say that it's that crazy. But at the same time, Cell Max being out, we finally have a playable Cell Max after just recently getting a playable Beast, standalone Beast Gohan. It is crazy how great this year is as a whole. So far, I mean, I've been saying it in like small circles and whatnot, that the 9th year of Dokkan is so far been the best year, and it's going to be the best year of Dokkan, and so far it has not been disappointing. We got the Big Bang Attack Vegeta for Saiyan Day, we had the whole Majin Buu Saga thing for Golden Week, we had the kind of super bosses and superhero stuff for the 9th anniversary, and now obviously we're getting Cell Max as well. This is going to be crazy, but anyways, we do have the animations to check out, so I'll be checking out the animations first, and we also have the whole kind of kit breakdown with Goresh. Now, I did pull this up. Shout out to Goresh, by the way, of course, doing what he normally does. But I have not looked at the details yet, so I'm going to try to avoid spoiling myself right now. We're going to go ahead and start with the animations, and then we'll go into the kit, and then we'll look at how the current Super Boss's kind of design is as far as the category is concerned, all of the units, and how Cell Max's impact will play as far as this whole category and the team and everything like that is concerned. But anyways, let's go ahead and start off with the intros. Should turn down the audio there because I'm pretty sure I just blew out ears. I'll probably make an adjustment to the audio, but needless to say, I blew out my own ears. Okay, Cell Max. Let's look at the board. Yo, these... I think some of these are reused assets, but let me wait until this goes. Okay. A bit of a mix-up from the typical super we see from the Cell Max boss fight. I like it. The 12 key, of course. Is that the LR art? That's actually kind of fire. Of course, beating up on Orange Piccolo just to make a cannon. We love to see it, I guess. And this must be the 18th kit. Ooh. Bro is making a disco light show, and Cell Max is basically starting a rave right now. Oh, this is an AoE 18 key super. Wow, this is gonna be interesting. Okay. And the active right here. Ooh, okay. Yo, this is giving me like LR Frieza kind of, with the 18 key, like how it just expands like that. Yo, this is crazy looking. Yo! Yo. Okay, I'm keeping my voice down, by the way, guys, because it's like 1 in the morning for me, so I gotta keep it down for family. But, am I tripping? Are these some of the best looking animations in the game? Check it, let me know in the comments. I mean, to be fair, Dragon Ball Super Superheroes has some great kind of reference material and things to pull from, but some of these frames just flowing, the way he's moving, some of these shots just look so crazy. I mean, really, they just look insane. I am a big fan of this unit so far. All right, let's go ahead and check out the kind of details for the character. Obviously, again, this is from Goresh. Shout out to Goresh the boy, of course, with the full translations for LR Cell Max. So, obviously, leader skill, artificial life forms, and super bosses, key +4, HP, attack, and defense 150%. So he is a yellow coin LR. Yellow coin LRs, Part 2 LRs, of course, they do typically have these sorts of HP attack, like the stat boosts for 150%. So that's kind of the expectation that we will see for him when he releases very soon. Super attack effects. So for the 12th key, we got Maximum Smash. They probably should workshop these names because that is kind of lame, I feel like, but I'm not going to hate too much. But greatly raises attack for 1 turn and causes colossal damage. So typical kind of stuff there, nothing too crazy. I do wish there was a boost to his defense there, and it looks like there's only a boost to his defense for the 18 key as well, but we'll see what their passive does and everything, and maybe we'll judge based off that. The 18 key now, Maximum Disaster, greatly raises attack for 1 turn, so the same thing there for the 12 and 18 key, causes mega colossal damage to all enemies, and greatly lowers attack and defense. So that kind of reminds me a bit of the LR Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. I almost thought I mixed up their forms for a sec. But LR Evo Ken, of course, they do have this whole kind of focus around lowering attack and defense with their 18 and 12 keys. And this is kind of similar, I guess, with the 18 key, but really for me, the thing that's really selling me on these super attacks so far is that AoE damage. Obviously, especially if Cell Max can do a lot of damage, then this can be pretty crazy. Passive. So, activates the intro animation. We did see that at the start of turn if there is another artificial life form or super boss category ally on the team. So, really, really easy, guys. Just take one other ally who belongs in either of the categories, right? Artificial life forms or super bosses, and bam, there you go, we get the intro. If the intro is activated for 3 turns, we gain attack and defense 100% boost to the stats. We have guaranteed guard against all attacks, so that can be kind of huge for sure, and performs an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. So not a guaranteed super there, but still, you know, the additional attack, a bonus to the stats there, the guaranteed guard, especially the guaranteed guard for the first few turns at least, that's going to be very, very helpful with Cell Max, especially in like certain types of red zone stages where, you know, the fight gets dangerous right off the get-go. Those sorts of kind of protective mechanisms are going to be very, very valuable. Key +5 and attack and defense 300% at the start of turn. So right off the bat, you know, this is just what he's getting, a flat out boost to his stats really just at the start of the turns, which is actually really crazy, you know, 300% right there. Obviously between that and the intro for the first 3 turns, that's going to be 400% right there. So that's going to be a really, really crazy kind of stat line right there for Cell Max. Gain Ki +1 and attack +20% per attack performed up to a maximum of Ki +5 and attack +100. So let's keep track of the math here, guys, right? We do have the 300% from just starting the turn, 100% from the intro for the first 3 turns, and if we do 5 attacks, right, we perform 5 attacks regardless of if they're supers or regular normals, we will get another 100% to his attack. So all in all so far, we have 500% to the attack right there. Gain Ki +1 and defense +20% per attack received up to a maximum Ki +5 and defense +100%. So between the 5 attacks we received, again, doesn't matter if they're supers or normals, we will get defense +100 there, so that makes it another 500% defense there, you know, if the intro is activated and all of these sorts of things are coming together. And on top of that, it is worth mentioning, you know, Ki +5, just starting off, right, another Ki +5 for the number of attacks he can perform, and another Ki +5 from the attacks he receives. That is 15 Ki you're getting for a unit that is able to get a maximum of 24 Ki in his whole kind of design, right? LRs, they get 24 Ki maximum in general for their super attacks and everything, right? You know, put him in a double lead of himself, which is probably not what you're going to do, but Ki +8 right there in total, so 15 +8, that pretty much puts you, if my math is right, at 23 Ki. So that's kind of crazy right there, of course. And then, you know, even if you run him under, like, for example, a Broly or a Rosé lead, that's still, you know, Ki +3 on the 2 sides, right? So that's going to be 6 right there, plus the 15, that puts you at 21. So still really, really crazy how high his Ki can get early on. Or not even early on, but his Ki is just going to be up pretty much essentially for like the entirety of the fight. Perform an additional attack that has a high chance to perform to become a super. So this is separate from the whole kind of thing in his intro. It's just another opportunity to do a high chance super attack right there. Gain an additional defense 250% and reduces damage received by 30% if all allies within the same turn, are on the artificial life forms, super bosses, or movie bosses category. So that's actually very interesting. Obviously, we'll see his categories, what he fits into in just a moment. But, you know, super bosses, artificial life forms, movie bosses, really kind of easy kind of categories to kind of take advantage of in general, right? Especially, you know, the first two, because both of these fit into his own leader skill and you know, probably are fitting into teams that he would want to run with. Gain an additional attack 250% and a chance to perform a critical hit increases by 30% whenever there is no superhero category ally attacking in the same turn. Okay, so that's very interesting. I'll talk about that in just a moment, but you know, the first kind of unit that comes to mind here is the gammas, right? Any sort of gammas, right? Because gammas, they fall into artificial life forms. Basically, this is saying, you know, you are not allowed to take the gammas, or if you do, just know you're missing out on all of this beautiful damage here for Cell Max. So I guess that's the sort of way to balance things out for them. Perform an additional super within the same turn after receiving a super attack. So that's actually interesting. This kind of reminds me of Beast Gohan, right? Beast Gohan, he does perform a guaranteed additional super within the same turn after receiving an attack. In this case, though, for Cell Max, he is only able to do this after receiving a super. So this is a bit more challenging, and honestly, I'm actually not a big fan of this because, yeah, like the additional super is nice, but having to take a super can be kind of dangerous if you're in the wrong position, and like depending on the boss, it could be quite problematic. So I'm not too sure how I feel about that, but yeah, this is gonna be we'll have to see how he performs. Of course, we'll have to see how he actually performs in game with the rest of his units. All right, now we got the active here, which is Scream Explosion. So in order to get the active here, obviously we have certain conditions here: able to be used after 4 or more turns have elapsed from the start of battle, and if all allies in the same turn are on either the artificial life form or the super bosses category, or after 6 or more turns have elapsed from the start of battle, and if all allies in the same turn are extreme class once only. So that's not too tricky. I mean, there is no like kind of universal like easy to access condition for all sorts of challenges whatsoever. But I mean, you want to run him with artificial life forms, you want to run him with super bosses, movie bosses in general, right? So it seems like it's pretty easy to get the extreme class kind of thing going for him, and especially the super bosses, artificial life form stuff, that should be pretty easy as well. As far as the ability though, massively raises attack temporarily, causes ultimate damage. Okay, that's actually kind of standard stuff. For 1 turn, defense plus 999%. I don't think we've ever seen this before. Someone was probably gonna have to check me on that in case I'm mistaken there, but I don't think we've ever seen a defensive stat boost like that before, unless you see just people, using modded versions of the game or something really crazy like that. And all attacks are redirected to this character. So of course, this is another unit with the taunt mechanism, similar to Beast Gohan, similar to the 9th anniversary physical Gogeta. And honestly, I think the argument could be made that this unit, right, the LR Cell Max, has the best taunt mechanism of all the taunt setups so far. And to be fair, every single taunt unit so far, right, the 3 of them, they all have good kind of mechanisms to defend themselves and to survive and everything. But defense 999, that's really, really crazy just overall. I don't think there's any situation where he could be probably exposed based off just the fact that this is going to be boosting his defense, which is already going to be boosted with his passive there. As far as the links, I mean, I'm not a big expert on links, so I'm not going to be like talking like I'm that kind of a wise kind of expert there. But Big Bad Bosses is a big one to talk about. Obviously, a big boost for him. Of course, Android Assault, that kind of reminds me of the Gammas. Berserker works with Broly, actually, if I remember correctly, so that's going to be kind of fun there, actually. I can't wait to see what we could do there. And then the typical Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. We'll have to see what medals he is going to require, but my guess is that he's going to require Beast Gohan medals, Orange Piccolo medals, the Gammas, stuff like, or I don't think maybe the Gammas, but stuff like that. He's probably going to require those sorts of medals to get himself to his LR form. And then as far as the categories, right, we have artificial life forms. We've been seeing that earlier. Big Bad Bosses is not a category, so I assume he meant super bosses actually, because that's the only one not showing here. Movie bosses, androids, final trump card, and battle of fate. So yeah, he's got some fun categories for sure. Definitely probably gonna want to run him on super bosses though, maybe artificial life forms, but for sure super bosses. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's go back into the Dokkan Wiki, the lovely resource we have here for the game, and we can see the super boss category as presently designed. So we do have the LR Broly, we do have Physical Rose for the 2 leaders right now. Obviously, both of them do lead typical kind of 170% leads with extra 30%. So both of them are going to be better kind of options for like leading this team in comparison to Cell Max. That's just the way it is. Actually, let me move the kit here so it's easier to kind of go back and forth. But typically, 150% stat boost, you're not going to want to run that if you can afford and have the capability of running 170% leads and stuff like that. So, both of these units are definitely going to be the preferable leaders still, unless you want to take, I guess, 2 Cell Maxes for some sort of really like AoE heavy fight or something. I'm not really too sure. But talking about the ideal team, I guess, we have Broly. Broly's definitely like a must-have for the team if you have him. Physical Rose, I definitely think belongs on that, of course. Int Golden Frieza for sure. I would argue that STR Kefla, I mean, realistically, these 3 are probably like the must-haves, and then probably Cell Max as well. I do believe that Cell Max is a must-have. Just the way he's designed, he's built to work with super boss units. I think he's a must-have on this team if you have him. And then I think from there you can kind of mix and match some other options, but Broly, Chila, and Lemo, they're a great choice, of course. You have the Tech Corrupted Zamasu, who can work in various fights. You do have STR Kefla, you have Physical Topo if you were really desperate there, because he's not meant to work on this category, but he could fit there nonetheless. You do have the Super Easy 8 Goku Black, so this category is kind of interesting. It's kind of really fun to see actually how it's kind of coming together here, because right now if we look at the counter to this category right now, obviously, which is, of course, if I can pull it up here, the superheroes category. The superheroes category, actually, let me go ahead and set the in-game stuff here. The superheroes category is, by a decent level, the #1 category, and if it's not the #1 category for some people, there's arguments maybe for like Majin Buu Saga and stuff, and I actually would argue Majin Buu Saga in certain cases may be considered equals with superheroes, but yeah, superheroes is definitely like top of the pyramid. Super Bosses, on the other hand, is not at that level, and really there's like maybe 2 to 3 reasons why that is. One is the fact that, when you're talking about the individual links and how they're set up between various units, the linking is kind of wonky, and this is not really the biggest issue in the world, but yeah, if you're talking about maximizing the value of units, Broly doesn't link that well with Rose does not link that well with Golden Frieza does not link well with Kefla. There are those kind of issues within the team. Now, yes, you have, for example, Physical Rose, he links fantastically with the Super Easy 8 Goku Black, and various kind of small linking kind of patterns work here and there. But for the overall best kind of option, as far as units are concerned, as far as the team is concerned, yeah, there is a significant issue when it comes into the form of linking, I would say. Aside from that, a really big issue actually is the kind of need for orb control, really. When you talk about like 2 or 3 different units in this kind of category, right? Some of them need orbs in hefty amounts, right? We look at Rose, he benefits from getting rainbow key spheres because then that means he can do more attacks. More attacks means he's able to boost his attack and defense here within the same turn for each attack performed, and then when he does supers eventually, that means his damage and his overall kind of output is going to be much better, and his defense as well, right? So he needs that, of course. Golden Frieza, not to necessarily like a strict degree, but he does need 3 or more key spheres to kind of get his damage reduction going, especially as the fight progresses. So not the biggest thing in the world, but still something to kind of pay attention towards. Broly, Sheila, and Lemmo, both of them, or not both of them, but the unit themselves after the EZA, they do benefit from getting AGL or STR key spheres or various kind of key sphere typings just to kind of boost themselves overall, stat boost wise, and all that sort of stuff. So they definitely need a bunch of orbs there. And then, even another unit that we really obviously talk about a lot in terms of a good EZA is the STR Kefla. But STR Kefla, one kind of, I guess, gripe about her for me personally is the fact that she is notorious for needing key spheres. And, the key sphere issue becomes less and less of a problem as you go from Kefla to Super Saiyan Kefla and to her Super Saiyan 2 form. But that doesn't really change the fact that she still needs key spheres. So, we're talking about, like, I think that was 4 different units that require key spheres. That can be a significant issue for the Super Bosses category currently. Now, Cell Max, he's going to do a lot for this kind of boost here, right? Obviously, he is not designed to need any sort of orbs whatsoever. In fact, you could argue he doesn't even need like STR type orbs or really anything, between all of the stuff in his passive and maybe even some of his linkings, then you may find a situation where you don't need him to get any key at all. He will already be maximized at 24 keys. So, that's just a really crazy thing right there. And then, as far as how he's built, he can obviously taunt and protect the units. This was another thing too, actually worth mentioning. There is no unit on the Super Bosses category that has a taunt mechanism, right? So far, the only 2 taunts we had were Gogeta and Beast Gohan. Beast Gohan showing himself right there, of course. Both are superhero kind of units, they're good guys, so they don't fit on this category. Now that we have a taunt here, this is going to be a huge benefit to the category where typically right now you can find situations where some of these units can get exposed. Now Cell Max is going to be a huge boost. So, what I will say is we'll have to see again how he performs, but I would not be surprised if he ends up being potentially a top 3 Yellow Coin LR, if not maybe the number 1 Yellow Coin LR in the game. Because, he's especially as far as the Super Bosses category is concerned, he is going to be adding a whole new level of dominance and power to that team, and I am so looking forward to seeing it. Now, I will say, Part 2 LRs don't typically have the best banners, right? If we go ahead and we actually look at Dokkan info here, and if we look at the banner for the last LR, the Part 2 LR, which is, as you see here, the LR Ultimate Gohan, his banner was mediocre, to say the least, right? If I can find it down here, here we go. So his banner, it had him for the feature unit, of course that makes sense, new unit. It had the 8th year Super Buu, it had the 7th year side banner, is it 7th year or 8th year actually? I think it's the 8th year side banner units with the Gotenks and Piccolo. Tech Yajirobe there, the Tech Dragon Fist right there. The overall kind of banner is just trash. It is terrible. And I anticipate rather that the Cell Max banner is going to be the same sort of issue. That's just how Part 2 LRs typically are. That's how Yellow Coin LR banners are typically designed. But, for anyone who's considering like, oh, should I go for Cell Max? Should I not go for Cell Max? Is it a wise move? Obviously on the JP side of things, we don't have to worry about anniversary or anything like that. What I will say though is, if you find yourself having at least either one of these units, if you have Rose like I do, or if you have Broly, then maybe want to consider this, because I mean there are a lot of these units that you could definitely take advantage of, and Cellmax will just help them all out. So, you know, I definitely think Cellmax is worth going for. And I will say, you know, I'm not a big fan of summoning on part 2 LR banners myself, but I am definitely going to put in my effort into this banner, at least some effort, and see if I can get lucky enough to pull Cellmax, because that will be a fantastic pickup, even at 55% I would say, for this team. With that all said though, that's going to do it for the vid. If you guys liked it, of course hit the like button down below, subscribe so you can see more vids like this in the future, comment down below how excited you guys are for LR Cellmax to come into the game, and feel free to check out some of the other vids I have on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.